Call to order the Lowell City Council work session for September 7th at 6:59. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bennett.
Here.
Councilor Harris. Here. Councilor Stratus.
Present.
Councilor Myers.
Here. We have a quorum. To everyone, after the last meeting, I was frustrated by my tone that I used in the meeting, and I felt it was inappropriate. I apologize to everyone if they felt offended. So on to next is the approval of the agenda. Anybody have anything, additions that they want to add in now? Okay, the first item up is continued discussion and direction with City Council on library volunteers on the Maggie Osgood Library renovation project, including. Mr. Paul, you want to finish that up?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a 5-minute presentation to summarize the information that I was asked to bring back to City Council. And then I'll turn it over to you for discussion. And we also have most everybody who was in the original design meetings with us tonight to jump in on the conversation. I was asked to come back to City Council with some information on how we could make option 5B happen. And the feedback that I received, or that I heard from the meeting, was that one of the benefits of option 5B is we would have a library that was adequate and matched up to the program that we paid a library consultant to develop for us. Another benefit is that we would have a meeting room that was bigger than the first option. It would be mostly adequate for our council meetings. We'd have more storage. We wouldn't have to, once we moved in, start thinking about immediately moving City Hall out, so we would be able to stay put. So the question is, how do we finance a $1.5 million project? Let's, if you don't mind,
Is that all you went with, though, is 1.5?
That's what
Yes.
the council asked you to come back to.
Okay.
Consensus.
yes,
We can, because it's 1.8 something, but that's right.
yeah.
Let him, yeah. Go ahead.
So the 1.5 was the base option and 1.1 was the premium. So this is just to get the conversation started. Regardless of the amount, 1.5, 1.8, USDA, Business Oregon, they're ready to work with us. We can get the financing. So just to give an example, going with a $1.5 million figure, USDA can give us a 40-year loan, 2.25%, annual debt payment, $57,266. As of right now, if we were to move forward with this option, I would be leaning towards USDA. This is a federal program, the Community Facilities Program is what it's called. There's also an opportunity for $50,000 in extra grant funding. We won't know if we will qualify for that until October. It is a little more difficult to work with compared to Business Oregon, with it being a federal program. There's a little bit more hoops to jump through. But I talked to both agencies and they said they're ready to work with us. How could we service this annual debt? Well, based on our total number of utility customers, what this would amount to is a $9.76 charge per month on utility bills to make that annual debt payment. If we're going with option 1C, that's $2.56 per month. Now, regardless of which option we choose, we're going to have a loan. And even if we're doing the property sales, we're going to have a loan because we need working capital to get started right now. So we talked about at the previous meeting, our property sales. We know we're in the running for a Ford Family Foundation grant. What does that do to the life of the loan? Well, I provided some information in your packet on the properties that we're looking at. These are 4 parcels. There's 7 North Highland. There's a portion of this property that we're on right now. There's a portion of Rolling Rock Park, and then there's the City Hall property. I developed some projections, the net property sales revenues, once you factor in commissions, what we're going to have to pay for surveys and so on. Approximately $523,000. Then when you add the maximum we could get from the Ford Family Foundation, $250,000, that's where I got this $772,000. What that does is it turns a 40-year loan into a 16-year loan. We'd end up paying $187,000 in interest, and that would save us $603,000 in interest compared to a 40-year loan. Now that 16-year figure gets into the next topic on how we can accommodate the growth in our city facilities. If the current trends continue, within 16 years' time, we're looking at breaking the 2,000 mark on our city population. I don't know at what point we need to look at adding additional offices, adding additional staff. But at the 2,000 mark, that seems like at that time, we're going to have to start having that conversation. And what that means is that loan falls off. We have additional debt service capacity. And then we can look at expansion on this campus, which is one of the things that Kurt pointed out, is the area where the shed is, the portion of the parking lot in that area is underutilized and could be a site for expansion. So the purpose of the meeting tonight is to start making some decisions on moving forward. Here's a snapshot of the original project schedule. We're already about a month and a half behind schedule. We were anticipating starting the bidding process early in October. So we need to make some decisions on which option to select, on which option for debt financing to select, so we can get back on track. One recommendation I have is to schedule a town hall this month. Put out some mailers to the citizens, informing them that we're going to be having a town hall. Kurt said that he'll be there. He'll participate in whatever capacity to move it forward. We can share with the public the options we're considering, the costs involved, and what we would be asking them to contribute to make it happen. I also need authorization to start the loan process. I anticipate that's going to take maybe 90 days from the time I call them to the time we get money in the bank. While all that's going on, we can start working with the architectural and engineering team to draft the bid documents. These are the specifications of documents we put out to contractors to start getting bids. Then we can get back on schedule, select contractors early in 22, and then start working. One other quick note before I turn it over to you is we've been talking about what it's going to take to actually build the facility. One thing to keep in mind is the ongoing costs. We're going to build a modern library. At some point, we'll need to talk about the staffing levels, maintaining collections, programming for adults and families and children, and the costs involved in that. And we're also looking at some park renovations. When we're talking about utility fees to service this debt, with what we're looking to do with Rolling Rock Park, that's also maybe another $6 to $7 per month to service that debt. So that's something to keep in mind as well. What questions do you have for me?
Yeah.
So, something ignorant, but just to be clear, if we took on that debt and, I mean, we had to get the loan for, 1.5, but we paid off as much as we think we can pay off, would there be any lowering of what we're asking the citizens to pay? Would that lower their, at that point, could we readjust how much they're paying? Or, and maybe that doesn't make sense to do that, but I'm just
It's possible,
That cuts into the 16-year window.
it does.
that's what I was wondering, probably cuts into the 16-year window. Okay, that's why I asked.
I don't think that would be out the window. I think that's something maybe that needs to be discussed in the town hall with citizens.
I agree.
Can you live with a couple of years of $10 a month, and then when we live as a city with the longer payback period, we end up paying more interest, but we can take some of the load off the citizens, just get stretched out longer.
Well, we also have to think about the park. So you're not talking about, what was it? Now, how much was the park, and if that goes in,
$6 to $7 per month.
so you're talking closer to
$20
$20 a month. Yeah, I personally think that while I'm anxious about doing that to our citizens, I think the town hall is a great idea because they need to, I think we can get some feedback and they would completely understand what it is we're looking at. I wonder too, if we can even address the idea that if we didn't do what this particular plan, and we had to build a city hall in the future, what that, I mean, it's really hard to come up with those numbers, but just so that everybody can have the full picture. It seems like we should at least talk about the fact that it's going to cost a lot more. And then, if it doesn't seem like the right thing to do, then we go to the other option and figure it out in the future.
My concern with exclusively holding a town hall to gather input and to get a consensus is much like most public events. We won't get near a majority of folks being involved in it, which means we aren't going to get a true picture of the feelings of the volume of the citizens of Lowell. I'm wondering if there's any other way we can have an outreach beyond a city, beyond a town hall event. Either have some sort of an online informational thing, kind of running the numbers by the folks, or something in the monthly water mailer, and try to have some way they can give us feedback. Because I think what we don't want to do is have a town hall and have 15 people show up and expect that to be the general consensus we're going to get from 1,000 citizens of Lowell.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea too.
So
It's
if
gonna
we,
take time, but
I think it's worth getting more of a true poll of to find out what the majority feels like, not just the majority of people that are willing to show up at a town hall.
I think educating the people is going to be a primary thing to get them to understand. Do we put together a packet and do the town hall after we mail out the water bills this month? So that like a week after that, they usually go around about the 20th, 25th, somewhere there. What time, when do they go out? Water bills?
Last mailable day.
Most people know. When is it?
They just mailed them.
We just mailed the bills out.
But the one for next month wouldn't be it'd be October.
It might be worth doing a special.
Or maybe we could just do a special mailing to all the residents and to inform them, in addition to putting it on the website. Something on the front of the envelope to let them know that this isn't necessarily something you just automatically throw away. The other thing is when we look at this loan, we look at 30 and 40-year loans on a building that I don't know how old it is, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years old,
40.
and 40 years old. So if we go with a 40-year loan, if it doesn't come down to 16, then we're gonna be maybe paying money on this building after it's used, when past its useful age. I don't know. I know they're gonna renovate it. The other thing is we speak of the city hall maybe needing more space. What if the library is successful and they need more space, then do they move into the meeting room? We move out, you know, I think that from what he's saying, and I kind of agree with it, it could well be that the library becomes quite successful and we go from a part-time to a full-time, maybe possible employee there. To be able to go to a full-time employee, you're gonna be doing quite a lot of work they're gonna have a lot of business going on. So are we jamming ourselves into a corner when we take out $1.5 million loan and then say, and make it more difficult to get, because at some point, in my view, that's the reason I asked them to do 1C. I don't know if we're gonna talk about it or not, but it's a setup that allows City Hall to move out and the library to move in and to occupy the space with a minimum amount of alterations, extra construction, things like that. 300,000 for that, then we, you
Well,
know,
we should have done that 3 years ago then.
what's that?
If you want to do that simple little plan, we should have done it 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We've been sitting on our butts for 3 years.
Okay,
I mean, that's, to me, that's useless, really, because
Yeah.
it's no
So-
different than what it is now.
Well, I mean, it's just the difference between temporary again and permanent.
because if we
They're
go with,
both the same.
if we go with 5B, we
They're
got
both
this thing here, we gotta blow all of that out, put it in, so we're gonna spend half, $750,000 probably, from what we moved it, we did here, to an add-on versus getting a brand new building, so
You're talking 16, 20 years down the road then,
maybe,
maybe.
Yeah.
You're talking all that on a maybe.
Yeah.
Well, golly, I can't do that in Vegas, I'm maybe gonna go with seven.
I have a lot.
I know, I have to.
Maybe next time,
Yeah.
but
Maybe it's-
like I say, I think the library has as much chance of growing out of its capacity, out of its position now as the library, as the city hall does, because we're gonna be growing. Way he's locked in right now with 5B, he can't add a person. There's no space to add one. You know, they'd work from home or he would,
We ain't gonna need to add anybody for 16 years.
I
We won't.
I think we might. I think we might,
I don't think so.
yeah.
I would say that there's 4 of us here right now discussing this, that we're 1,000 people short of the true input that we
I
need.
think, oh, I'm not disagreeing with that. I don't think any of us have, you know, it's not up to a motion for a decision right now. It's still just being discussed. And I think, we need to be understanding of what the community is gonna come back with and ask us, you know. When we
Well,
say
that's-
$1.5 million and we put in a water line out west of here and a sewer plant, water plant, stuff like that for $1 million or like that a few years ago, it tore the whole community apart. So we need to make sure that we're standing on strong ground.
And that's why I think we need to take it to people. and-
Well, here's another scenario, okay? The numbers you gave are
Okay.
really pretty good, but Ford Foundation just does not give $250,000. Ford Foundation will pay up to half of the library deal. If it's over $250,000, they go to a special session, it's held every quarter, every 3 months. They will go up to $2 million or more, depending on your plan. Ours isn't quite that much. And the back pages back there has a breakdown on what the Ford Foundation would give us and what they are, and if we sold those properties and what they came out to be, and the end cost for that plan number 2 on B, for the premium number 2, we'll end up paying $183,954. Now, we gotta get the loans for the 200,000 or the 2 million or 1.8 million, you know, and pay them back as we pay off those, or as we sell those properties. But there's no reason we can't do that within a year. You can sell properties within a year. Okay, there we go. And you drop all of those loan charges down, you drop that all the way down. You're left with 183,000. Now, how much is that gonna cost each household? I mean, it's just a different way of looking at it. The other scenario, the first scenario, we're not paying anything off anytime quick. if she can get rid of them all within a year, we've got it all paid off in a year, except for within a couple $100,000. So I'm fine with any plan. I really don't care, but the smaller ones, it just is. If we do something like that, then we should have done it 3 years ago. It would cost less money and we're doing nothing different than what the building is right now. And we just sat on it and did nothing. I mean, that's probably more irritating to me than anything else. I'm just as guilty as everybody else, just kind of sitting on it. And really, COVID had nothing to do with it. We could continue to do this stuff during that. I've got more contractors working through COVID than
Okay,
I had
so
non-COVID.
on the premium two with cuts.
Yeah, so with the cuts, and it lists what the cuts are. The fire sprinklers you do not need because of the size of the building. The enhanced security system you do not need. And you would only do half of the paving of half of the work
Right.
for paving out there, because the rest of that's part of the stuff that you had highlighted in the selling. So we wouldn't upgrade that other half just because we want to sell that piece. So if you take all of that off and drop it down, correct. That was just my thought.
So if we could get there, that'd be pretty darn good.
But the only thing that is stopping us from getting there is ourselves. You know, drawing things out for months and months and months. It's gonna get more expensive, so we need to get going on something. Like I said, I don't care which one y'all want to do. Those are just my thoughts.
Well, I think that we only get so many opportunities in
We do.
in 50 years to make big changes to a city. You
Yeah.
know, we've had one city hall that was built at one time, and here we are 50 years later, 60 years, 70 years later, looking at the next one, trying to go forward to the future. I think, you got to balance the fiscal responsibility with the goals that we set to attain. And I appreciate John's effort into looking at ways to economize 5B to gain some of our, money back and lower the cost of that. I also appreciate, you looking into effective ways to finance it and, running the numbers to show us how we can do it in a short time period of 40 years. So this isn't stretched out forever for the citizens of Lowell. I think that, we really, despite, moving slowly, I think that this is a big enough decision where it's worthwhile. If we waited 70 years for the new city hall, whether it drags on a little bit longer, it's worth it to make the right decision and make the citizens happy, make the citizens, feel like we're using their money wisely and most, and getting a good finished product that's going to be effective both as a library and, place for the city to do business.
I agree.
So, this is a real challenge. I mean, I think I would rather, be viewed by some of the citizens of Lowell as maybe a little, upfront, a little less fiscally responsible, and end up in the long run, people realizing that there was value in the project that we completed and the work that we got done and pushed forward, than I would have them feel like we come back to them 20 years from now because the choice we made wasn't the right choice. And at that point, it actually costs more money to bust back in and do more work. So I think you, in some points, if you go too lowball, you'll actually end up in the long run costing more money.
Right.
Those products that are gonna last for a long time, as long as we do correct maintenance on the building, aren't gonna get any cheaper 20 years from now. So to redo the HVAC system 20 years from now, or to redo the roof, or to redo the paving, none of those projects are gonna be any cheaper. They're all gonna be probably exponentially higher 20 or 30 years from now. So I think there has to be that weight into this as well, is that option, you know, the lower cost option is not going to give us something that's gonna be tenable for 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years. It's not.
Right.
Neither for the library or for the city hall. So this is gonna be back into somebody else's hands in 20 years or 30 years from now. I think I would rather push it out and try to make it so nobody else has to make this kind of decision and can focus on the other things and go forward with other city business rather than revisiting this in 20 or 30 years. So I'd rather, I think it, you know, it's probably roll the dice about whether we're gonna make people happy with our decision or not. I think it's probably like most things, we're gonna have 50% of the people happy and 50% of the people unhappy. So.
You're very optimistic, John.
But educating, giving them the
49-51.
opportunity to understand what we're looking at and why we're, you know, what the decisions we're trying to make are, is, I think, important that they have that opportunity. If they don't take the opportunity to know, then, you know, that's up to them, but we need to make the effort to make sure that they are very clear on what we're trying to do here and are concerned with the best decision, so. I mean, I'm with you, John. I want to see us moving too, but I just think there's a couple steps we better take to assure that.
Well, come next month, all these prices are gonna go up. Because he can't bid something with the prices still going up and then be good for 120 days.
I understand that, but
you
we're
know.
probably not gonna,
We're getting 3 days out of the program.
3 days.
yeah. I mean, that's legitimate too. I just feel really strongly that we've got to let the community know.
Well, yeah, but 2 months from now,
Well, how can we do it in less than that? Let's talk about that, because I agree, we don't
we
want to
need to
drag
do
this
it.
out. We don't want to drag this out, so we got to figure that out. We may not be able to use the water bill, we might need to do a special mailing and a town
I
hall.
think that's a special note.
Yeah, we could mail something out tomorrow. Sam and I multiplied the cost of the stamp times how many people? That's what, $280?
Right. I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
I think we can't just rush out something, Jeremy. I think you have to prepare something that's informative enough, and I think your PowerPoint's good, but you can't send a PowerPoint out to mail it.
You put on
Sure,
on
so
the
what
website.
do we need to communicate to the citizens, and what do we need to get back from them so that we can have something on which to base a decision?
I think you need to probably send something out, that kind of highlights both paths, costs, and what the outcome is going to be. Probably include some visuals in that in terms of the diagrams of the building shapes, and then some verbiage that describes why you might go one way or the other, you know, not necessarily, be sending it out.
well,
and
isn't that what the
advocating
town
for
hall
one or the
meeting
other.
is for?
Pardon?
Isn't that what the town hall meeting
Well,
is
yes,
for?
but-
What I'm trying to do is have something in that packet as well that's gonna give people some polling action, so that we're not getting the input of 15 people that come to the town hall. That's all we're getting.
that's the only way we're gonna get reach, you know, and they may not read it, but the point is, we've made every effort.
I think you can introduce it in probably 1 or 2 pages. Put down what it is, reference it back to the website, the city website, and then there, put your PowerPoint on there, put some other things like that that would better explain what's going on, what's needed and stuff like
Well,
that.
the problem I see with
Otherwise,
that,
you get
Mayor,
5 or 6, 7, 8 pages.
the
people
problem
stop
is that
reading
Jeremy's
it.
PowerPoint is focused on how do we finance the 1.5
Right.
million. It's not focused on showing people the 2 options.
Yeah.
That's what this needs to be, a non-biased mailer
Yeah.
that represents both options from the same unbiased standpoint, that we're not
Well,
advocating
you
for one.
you
or the other,
already
we're being
have it.
informative.
You already have it
You can absolutely build off the stuff Kurt's gave us and everything else. So you're just gonna have to put that in. and It's gonna take a little while. I don't think we're gonna have time between tonight and
No, I would
tomorrow morning to
just
get all
put
that
Kurt's
together.
thing in there, list all of the stuff that makes up number one,
For 1C,
and
5.
makes up all of stuff
Here's
for
what I envision.
number five.
Both options are the same page. Pros and cons, price tag. Then there's a little thing they can clip off or a survey, or they can go to a Survey Monkey link and do it that way.
And also point out, we will have a town hall. That's gonna, I
Well,
think
that
if
has to,
we,
we should have the date in there, but.
yes, if we send something out with all that information, that's either gonna draw them in or they're not gonna care, I guess. But, you know, if they get that information prior to the town hall, then they can come and listen to a more in-depth discussion.
But envelope should have the date in there. We should have that date set up so it's in there for
Right.
people to know. If it's, if
But
we
if
just put down
Jeremy-
in the future.
I mean, Jeremy, you probably need at least, I mean, you've got other things going on, so, I mean, a week to have this out, is that even reasonable for you?
This is what I do. This is my wheelhouse. I can crank something out. I can crank
He
it out.
can crank it out tonight or tomorrow.
I know you can, I'm talking about your
I
workload.
want to get started on this.
I
so
do
it's a
too.
priority.
Okay, good.
So
Well, then we'll-
it's September 7th. When do we want to have a town hall?
Saturday's fine.
Do we have to have a certain amount of notice that we give the people? Is that required? A week, 2 weeks, or whatever? Or is there a requirement?
No, there's not any.
Okay, I didn't know,
requirement.
you know,
Well,
some things do require.
that's the-
I'll need to coordinate with Kurt's schedule though.
Okay,
Well, maybe you can do that and then just, I mean, I would hope within 2 weeks if I'm
Yeah.
I agree.
no longer than 2 weeks away. I mean, obviously the Saturday might be a little bit,
What, 2 days from now? You don't think he can pull it together, Gail?
oh, I know he can pull, I'm not worried about you, Jeremy.
So we're looking at maybe the week of the 20th.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see, when we have, tonight, we have a meeting the 21st. What is our 21st meeting? Is it
Regular
a,
meeting.
that's a minute, okay.
I would advocate for a Friday night.
Football night?
Now half
No.
of week football.
Yeah,
Picking, if there's an away game that night, something like that, but I would just advocate for Friday.
so the
because
home game is the fourth,
That's,
Can't
yeah,
do the
that's what I-
24th. I'm out of town.
okay. I suppose that's our regular meeting, so we can't do that. I was thinking how we could combine the town hall with that. But that's not a work,
Well, the next council meeting's on the 21st.
I know.
So do we want to have it like on the 22nd, 23rd after the council meeting? So-
22nd is planning commission.
Is what?
Planning
Planning,
commission.
okay, then that won't work. 23rd?
Does that mean we're still waiting another month to go ahead and vote on it? If it's after the regular council meeting?
We can have a special meeting then, in
Yeah.
a couple days.
You could do a special meeting that night. Town hall, listen to citizens, and you could take a vote. Twentieth, Monday, Thursday, 23rd, Monday, 27th, Tuesday, 28th, Thursday, 30th.
Let's have it on a separate night. I don't want to vote the same night. I really don't. We can do it on the 23rd and come back on the 27th or 28th or something like that.
Okay, we have the 23rd,
I may give an impulse vote.
a little over 2 weeks.
I'll get to Kurt, see if he can do that. If not, we'll look at one of the other days.
And we can't move it up like to the 16th? That's for me. Oh, okay, okay.
We could try the 17th.
Well, we don't want all
I
those
think
law
that's a football
breakers there
night,
anyway.
About the 18th, Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we could. Boat races are in town that weekend.
That's a great
That's
weekend to have it
They're
then.
one- That's the reason I want to be.
I don't
indoors.
think the boat race is the biggest.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna be down there anyway.
Suzanne raised her
In the
hand.
evening,
It's in, be quiet in here.
yeah, in the evening, I don't think it'd be any different.
No.
Suzanne, can Suzanne say something? Don,
I'm sorry?
can Suzanne say something?
You mean the Christmas plan? We don't care about the ducks around there.
If it's any day next week, then we could come back on the 21st and, it'd be the third Tuesday and put it on.
So
the
what are we
agenda.
talking about now?
Hey, Jeremy, just pick a day.
Okay, I'll get up with Kurt and it sounds like,
Get with Kurt and do his most first available day.
okay,
And we'll go from there.
all right.
If you can get the mailer out, and get everything like that, get people's heads, get them educated.
Okay. Well, I have what I need.
Okay.
Everybody finished, happy with, the library? Okay. Let you finish writing. Okay. Number 2 is a follow-up discussion on trees for Paul Fisher Park.
Thank you, Mayor. I've had some discussions with the Parks Committee Chairman on the idea on trees in Paul Fisher Park. I was out of town whenever a lot of these ideas were going on. After some discussion with Paul, this is on to have some further ideas on a joint city council parks committee meeting to walk through the park, figure out where you want to plant the trees, details on irrigation and that sort of thing. So this is on for discussion and all is with this tonight as well.
So, as I laid in the hospital bed, you noticed I had nothing to do.
I'm in the hospital bed. What happened?
Oh, I had to go in and have some crap done.
Okay, I'm not asking for personal. Are you okay?
Oh, yeah. Guess it's not a bunch of walking, they didn't know that. Where's Hall? Yo, I made one just for you, Hall. You're a great guy. And I have wonderful little flyer pictures of the kinds of trees that they
And you've been working.
actually have. And what we can do.
I like the little red barn.
Huh?
I like the little red barn.
Does everybody have a copy of the tree?
No, I won't, got those, sorry, I only made.
Okay, the mimosas
one
I
of
don't,
these.
mimosas I don't like, they're nasty.
Is that red looking thing?
There's a pinky looking thing that's
Yeah.
all kinds
What
of
does it,
stuff.
what one is it?
They're pretty unless you're underneath them.
They have a real tendency to break too,
What's this?
and ice and
Yeah.
water,
Which
they
one?
snap really easy.
Oh,
Those
yeah,
things
oh,
drop
yeah.
a lot of,
Well, I wonder about that.
they're, you continually have to clean under them.
Right.
Maple, I don't.
But Max
does
has
not break
something
off
better
well.
to
It
do.
doesn't show to be very tolerable. Golden maple, we'll call it.
I love what you got here, John.
Huh?
I still would advocate that we
Yeah,
should do an expenditure on
I like the red
one larger
sunset
tree that we need a company to bring in and put in the ground.
Oh, yeah.
To get a jump on maybe a shade tree near the playground specifically for kids. You know, we're not gonna see
Oh,
any
you're
of
not
these
gonna,
trees turn into shade for 20 years.
well, even if you bring in a tree, it's not gonna branch out for 15 or 10.
There's some faster growing maples and stuff like that that you might be surprised on.
Yeah. Those maples grow that in like 6 years, I think. You get,
At a 10 or 11, but if you buy one that's 25 or 30 feet tall and already a foot in diameter,
yeah. Well, maybe the city can float that one.
that's what I'm saying, is maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know cost estimates, I'd throw the number of like, you know, $1,500 or $2,000 out for a tree like that.
Oh, yeah, at least. And then the equipment.
Get it from
bringing
a
in,
specialized
doing that,
nursery that, yeah.
cost $5,000.
Another business you could put on here is McCallum's, I can't think of the name.
Sumac.
Tumac.
That, okay, so see that open spot to the left or to the right?
Mhm.
I couldn't remember what their name was. I thought it started with
I know
an M and I
Tumac.
couldn't
Two
remember.
McAllen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's where Sumac comes from.
Yeah.
so yes, anyway.
And they're not listed on anything as being a business
Interesting.
that I could not find.
But they're there. And they've been highly active in the community, so.
I thank you for your work, John, but I think it has to go back to the Parks and Rec Committee for them to make.
Oh,
the
I'm sure it does.
recommendation. And the trees that they decide on needs to be, are they gonna be the same as in Rolling Rock Park? Are we gonna stay?
We don't care. They're trees. We want shade.
No,
Who
the Parks-
cares?
That's the Parks Committee. They should make that decision, you know, how, you know, these are good to start with. How are we gonna water?
Again, we're gonna drag our feet because we don't know what tree we want.
No, it doesn't take that long. The Parks Committee can get together on that and they come back with us on that, on which tree they like. They may like the mimosas, just because I don't. You know,
Oh, and they've got 100 different varieties.
yeah, yeah.
So that's
I'll
good.
get there. I'll
I
get
believe a
there.
representative of the Parks Committee wanted to speak. Would that be okay?
Yeah, let me have a little bit.
Okay.
And these trees that we're gonna plant, are they gonna need to be on a drip system? I don't know. Do they need?
Probably not if you got your irrigation system running
So
down. It'd
just
be
a-
no
a
different than your
sprinkler?
yard, yeah.
Or I don't know. The sprinkler, I don't think it's gonna keep them wet enough.
Depends on how much water you put down.
Then we need to, they need to find out if they need to be on a drip system, you know? And that needs to go back to the park committee. They need to come back and say, we need a drip system for these trees. Or we don't need a drip system for
I
these
thought
trees.
Is that not where we fixed the sprinkler system? Am I messed up on that?
No, we fixed the sprinkler system.
Yeah, I don't know if the manifold, does the manifold have enough ports to put a drip system in?
You know, I've never seen a drip system in a park with trees, except for the big sprinklers.
I was just gonna say,
I've never seen a drip system.
But it's
Everything
dry
other
here.
than flower
You know, we don't water to, we water to sustain. Trees suck up a lot of water.
well, I don't water the trees in my yard, Don. They seem to.
What's that again?
I don't specifically water the trees in my yard, I think.
Yeah.
And the time
Yeah,
of
because I've
year,
got 5 of them and they just,
to get them established,
much,
we're
don't
heading into the rainy season,
Okay.
so.
So they don't need a drip system, is what you're saying.
Well,
I'd hate to plant 10 trees, or even, you know, I think we can probably sell more than 10 trees pretty easily. Put them all in and then 6 months or at the end of the next summer for them to all look bad, you know, I want them to succeed. I want them to look good. So I think we need to see, I think we need to go back to the nursery and say, okay, can these just grow with normal sprinkling on the grass? If they say, yes, it can, then I'd say, God love them, we go with that.
So what I would say, Gail, is you don't have to always water trees, but if you want your tree to do as good as it can do, you should
Well,
water.
yes, I
it.
understand.
So what, I
Right.
mean, those growth rates we see in, you know, and on trees.
But I mean, once they're established,
Mhm.
they'll hold their own.
Yeah.
And the sprinkler will, you know, anyway, I'm sure they can help us understand what they're gonna need initially.
But if you walk, drive into Springfield, there's that median there where they planted a bunch of trees and they go by and they water from time to time. Their biggest part all dead, you know, so they,
yeah, but they only get watered when somebody comes down with that water tank,
but, like I
which
say,
is once a month.
trees like to be watered deep, from what I know, so. I mean, if they are gonna need to be, like I say, we need to find out if they're gonna be on a drip system, do we have a manifold for it, they're gonna be trenched to it, you know, and things like that, you know, and how much that's gonna cost. And the other, and if we're just gonna go out to companies for trees, I imagine the city has enough money that we can get a auger, backhoe, post hole digger, whatever to dig holes, and we can stick them all in there fairly cheaply. You know, like I said, the basic digging a hole, putting a tree in it is gonna be easy. Sustaining the thing is gonna be the challenge. Because you gotta figure about, 2 or 3 will probably be eat up by a teenager. they enjoy doing things like that. But anyway, you know, I don't know. Like I say, we can dig a hole in the ground, we can stick a tree in it and hope that that's the direction we want to go. And I think the Parks Committee should come back and tell us that's the way they want to go.
Are you gonna let me talk?
What's that? Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yep.
I've been doing a little research. And I've been looking at maple trees.
Uh-huh.
And I actually went out to the tree farm. And we can pick up a 15 to 20-foot maple tree for $200 and some dollars. We can get our landscape person, the arbor, which is an arborist, to come in, get some advice on, okay, maple is good. These are the varieties, this is what we should get, and yes, we will plant them for you. And it's my understanding that probably in the beginning, you're gonna need a lot of water because you want the roots to go deep.
Right.
And there's a way to do that. And it doesn't call for a drip system.
Okay.
All right? Now, if we show up at, some Saturday at the park to do the walkthrough, hopefully the landscape person's gonna be there and explain this to everybody. And Max will be there because I'm gonna talk about sinking those wellheads and he knows more about that stuff than I do. So I really hope we get together on Saturday and all show up.
That's-
And then we can take all this discussion from there.
So he's got it figured out.
As I bring it back to the council.
Can we not set a date to go?
He's got to get with somebody, so.
I don't have to give it to anybody. If somebody just needs to set a date and say, hey, we're showing up at such and such time on a Saturday, and
Do we need to check with the architect?
no,
Okay,
you need the landscape.
I mean the landscaper, that's what I meant.
So the landscapers, any Saturday?
I'll get available.
Okay.
You'll what, Max?
All check is available.
Okay, and then let us know and we'll set a, we'll set a date.
Readily available.
Okay.
I'll put the agenda together and send it out to everybody on what day is selected.
Okay,
Does that work?
Sure does.
we just need to do it.
And I've talked to other Parks Committee members and they are mostly available, but I'll make sure they know what's going on.
Anything else for Paul Fisher? You know, you have a direction to go?
Yes, sir.
Good. Anybody, nobody?
I would like to advocate that we design some sort of a permanent signage system for these trees, noting, giving some credit where credit's due for the people who donate for the trees.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Donated by,
Something along that line,
Yeah.
yeah.
or donated in memory of, something like that.
Yes, they so too. Whatever the person is donating it wants to put on that memorial plaque or that plaque, let's put it on there.
White tree.
I would advocate for monkey puzzle trees so nobody climbs the darn thing.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or anything for the study session? If not, we're adjourned at 7:48. Anybody need to take a break? Not hearing, not seeing. Next up, call to order the special meeting for September 7th at 7:48. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bennett,
Here.
Councilor Harris here, Councilor Stratus, Councilor Myers here.
Good. We're going to be looking at some applicants for a vacant position. I'd like to thank everyone, both of you, that put in applications. I feel excited about the quality of both applicants. what we'll start with is each applicant can offer a opening statement. Then we will ask, the council will be allowed to ask a question and a follow-up if you want. Then the applicants can make a closing statement. And I think we can go from there. So,
Mayor, we have Mr. Bill Preiser on first, and he is with us on Zoom as well. And I'll know that Mr. Preiser is with the fire service. He's working tonight, so if you see him running out the door,
okay,
he's responding to an emergency.
okay. Sounds good. So, Ms. Fryler, you want to go ahead and, if you're with us, open it up with an opening statement?
Absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
I don't know if you heard.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. So hello, my name is William Preiser. Around town, I'm more commonly known as Bill. I've been a resident in Lowell since 2001 with a brief break where I lived in Springfield, but most of my life has been spent in Lowell. And most of my life I've been spending volunteering in different activities in the Lowell community, both with the fire district and with East Valley Church. Recently, I went from volunteering with the fire department in Lowell to hired as an employee with the fire department in Lowell, which has opened up a vacancy in my life where I have normally been volunteering in some aspect in Lowell. So I'm hoping to be part of the city council. I want to help Lowell grow and be safe as it grows into the future and be able to be a part of the city in that way.
Okay, why don't we go around and, anybody have questions for Mr. Pfizer? Tim, go ahead.
Bill, what do you see as the biggest challenge for Lowell in the next 10 years?
I know that Lowell is growing a lot faster now than it has since I can remember. Even being a kid, I know that when we moved to Lowell and I was young, we had about 1,000 residents, and here we are just over 1,000 residents. If the projections are true from earlier in the meeting that we're looking to go to about 2,000 residents in 16 years, I think that we're going to have to be able to keep up with the growing population, which includes, unfortunately, things like crime. I think that as our population tends to go up, we're going to need to start looking towards some other level of law enforcement, whether it's city departments, whether it's reserves from Lane County Sheriff's Office. The answer I don't have personally right now, but I think that that is a challenge that we're going to continue to see grow. We've seen it grow over the last couple of years, and I think it's going to continue to grow over the next 10.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'll ask you one. What has Lowell not done in the past that should have been done?
That's an excellent question. Personally, I don't have an answer for you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure.
Good. Tim actually stole my question that I had, so that was my backup, and it wasn't a very good backup, so I'm sorry to put you on the spotlight there. Do any other councilors have a question or anything of Mr. Pfizer?
I do.
Okay, we have one more.
Hey, Bill, what do you think your biggest asset and what you can bring to the council table would be for us?
Well, I know that I have 5 years of fire experience. I have 1 year of law enforcement experience. So I have a mind that's surrounded by public safety. I think that I bring an aspect or a view that comes from community safety and things that the community can do and things that the city can do to continue to keep the citizens safe as well. outside of that, I have about 7 years of finance experience. Most of that is in the auto lending industry. So I understand a little bit about how finance works. I understand how loans work. So piecing those things together, I think that I have the ability to continue to learn and be more involved and fill the position.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any closing statement for you?
Yes, I know that I'm a little bit inexperienced when it comes to the city government or city council. I definitely have room to learn. This is a time in my life where I'm building these experiences. And I think that I have prior experience to bring to the table that will be an asset to the city, but I also believe that I'm going to continue to grow in the position itself.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Next up is Maureen Weathers.
Stay here.
You can come up. Those people that are deaf will appreciate it.
Hi, I think I know everybody who's been on the budget committee, but thanks for the opportunity. I didn't apply to go against Bill. I respect Bill a lot, and I love young people getting involved. Warren and I have recruited several to get involved in this stuff, so I don't mean to be against him. My situation has changed, and it just seemed like when Sam's position came open, it just seemed like the right way to apply the skills and experience that I have at a good time for both the city and for me. Looking at the discussion tonight, I do believe I can offer some experience and skills both on the financial side and as well as being involved in projects like these. It reminds me a lot about the bond measure that we were doing, and I've got some suggestions about that, whether I get this position or not. But also I've had a fair amount of success in grant writing, both ones I've done on my own and ones that I've done with others. I'm a real team player. I like partnerships. I like to work with others to make things happen. So it's hardly ever just one person, but had great success for the Florida Family Foundation grant quite a while ago that was a multi-year one for the school. So had a great relationship with them, and I think, you know, there's lots of opportunities there, and I'm happy to help again, regardless of whether I get this position or not. So it's a good thing, but I'd really like to serve. I think it's a good use of my experience, and also been here for over 20 years, my hometown, and I think my unique experience also involves being on the fire board budget committee, then on the city budget committee, and on the school district board, and now I work for the school district. So I've been an entrepreneur and a consultant and a corporate employee, and now a government employee. So I just have kind of a jack of all trades thing that I enjoy. I'm honored to serve.
Questions?
Do you have
feel
any
like,
other governmental experience?
yes, I was gonna say.
I was on the Springfield City Council, and I served as mayor for a time.
Mhm.
I was on their library board, and I was on whatever.
Like for exam, budget?
Oh, yeah. library board.
Any other questions?
What do you see as the biggest challenge for Lowell in the next 10 years?
I think finding the resources to do what we want to do, and I think that can be I agree with crime too, but I also think that when you start getting people involved and taking care of things, that kind of helps a lot. When you get landlords in the area that aren't absentee, that helps a lot. Got one in our neighborhood right now that could go away if we had some teeth into it and participate in that in Springfield about an all-out on some of those properties that was very successful. Residential construction doesn't pay for itself. You need more of an industrial base, and so I think the building a business community here is important. I don't know whether you guys have talked about expanding the UGB to accommodate any more industrial land, but certainly there's still some undeveloped stuff at Sumac that can be done. I really like the idea of the rain accelerator people coming in and helping. I like the idea of expanding broadband to Fall Creek, and we're a small town. Entrepreneurs are going to be the way for us to employ people and make it work and give people some stake in here, bring more families in to take care of the neighborhoods instead of tearing them out.
Anybody else?
I voted for so.
Well, we, and your presentation really answered all the questions I could think of.
I'm nervous. I'm usually on your side of the table.
Nothing like, yeah.
We thank you, Ray. And we thank you, Bill.
Can I make a closing statement?
With that, yeah, yes, please. Oh,
Oh.
sorry.
Because I appreciate Bill. I was associated with him in the fire department. I got to work there for a little while, and I can assure you that if I do get this position and he doesn't, I will continue to encourage him and see if maybe, you know, we can find other places to get him involved, budget committee, planning commission, whatever, and continue to reach out to the next generation. I mean, I know I'm aging, but I don't feel like I'm ready to be put out pasture yet, but I'm always happy to help others, and that's the way we make it work. I've always been pretty good about trying to find somebody to follow me in positions. So.
I would say to whoever doesn't get selected, I mean, John's a good example of that, you know, John applied for the position and stuck with it and didn't get it the first time, and stuck with it, and opening came open, you do promote, you think
Yeah,
happen
yeah.
in people's lives.
Yeah,
and
right.
We've seen some rotation in city council. I'm
Because
really
I'm not
happy.
very smart.
I wasn't gonna say that, John.
We all fall in that
I'm glad you-
category.
But I'm really happy with the quality of the two candidates and
Yeah.
to me, the
It hasn't always
enthusiasm.
been that way.
No.
No, it hasn't. And I was really happy to know there was two candidates too. I mean, we see so many things around here where it's like, we're lucky to get one for anything, for any kind of a committee or school board or anything. And so I'm really happy that we had the quality of the two candidates that we had tonight. I don't think either would be a bad choice.
Mhm.
No, I agree.
I agree.
Anything else? Ms. Cottle,
Thank
what's
you.
the
Thank you.
procedure from here?
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, city council can vote to appoint one of the applicants. The term of office would be through December of next year, as we have an election next year, and that's per city charter. City council also can direct me to reopen the process, try to get some more applicants. Or city council could just not make an appointment at this time. So those are your three options. If you do appoint somebody, I will swear them in tonight.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Maureen Weathers as the new city council person for the city of Lowell.
I'll second. I was waiting for you, Gal.
Kim made the motion and John may have seconded first. First seconded,
For a second.
okay. Okay, all those in favor, okay. The motion for us is to appoint Maureen Weathers to Lowell City Council position 3 pursuant to chapter 7 of the City of Lowell Charter. Are there any questions or comments?
I would just encourage Mr. Preiser, if he isn't selected for this, to keep on striving to be involved in the city. I think he's got some really admirable qualities that he mentioned in his opening and closing statements that would benefit any committee or any, you know, municipal participation, that he would benefit any of those things. So
I second that, Bill, thank you, because you have excellent qualifications, you really do. So don't let this stop you, please, because we need you.
I totally agree with what was said. Okay. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor of motion to appoint Maureen Weathers to Lowell City Council position 3 pursuant to chapter 7 of the City of Lowell Charter signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Not hearing any. Unanimous. Mr. Cottle, could you swear in the new council person?
Yes, Mr. Preiser, we thank you so very much for your interest in being with us tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity and letting me be here.
Yeah, thank you.
Come on up, congratulations. Actually, why don't you take a seat right there? That's your new spot.
We'll figure it
Well,
out.
I got a name for it already somewhere, don't I?
If you could repeat after me, I, Maureen Weathers, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
That I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
the ordinances and resolutions of the city of Lowell, Oregon,
the ordinances and resolutions of the city of Lowell, Oregon,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of the office of city council for the city of Lowell,
discharge the duties of the office of city council for the city of Lowell, Oregon,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I already get a name plate for you somewhere after the going.
Probably. Write your name right there and sign right there for me, please.
Who is that?
Welcome aboard. I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
I'd like to say how happy I am that Maureen chose, you know, to come forward with some more time in her life to be available to help the city out. I think we're the crux in the city right now, to where the decisions we're making are some of the most important decisions that have been made in 70 years of the platted city of Lowell. And your experience and your intelligence and your enthusiasm and thoughtfulness are going to benefit us in the decision making going forward for all these things we're working on.
I concur. Big time, big time. Glad to have you here. Okay, anything else for the special session? Anybody have anything want to add? Next, we'll be going into executive session. It'll be closed to the public. And as of right now, we're adjourned at 8:06.
Yes.
Come on, Max. If I got something.
He just